In the stillness of a small town just outside Austin, Texas, one summer in 2007, a story quietly began to unfold, a story of pain, courage, and unexpected guardianship. 14-year-old Emily Carter was no ordinary girl. Born with brittle bone disease, she had spent her entire life in a wheelchair, battling physical limits and emotional loneliness. The loss of her mother a year earlier had carved a heavy void, but in her refuge, the local park, Emily found peace. There, she used her sketchbook to breathe life into heroes, drawing faces she cherished, Chuck Norris and Keanu Reeves. Though she had never met them, her faith in their kindness was unshakable, a gospel of hope. One Friday evening, humming Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, Emily wheeled towards the gas station at the corner of Maple and 3rd. The usual quiet was shattered by tension. Deputy Carl Whitmore, a local police officer, was aggressively confronting a young boy accused of loitering near the store entrance. Finding injustice, Emily bravely spoke up. He didn't do anything. But the officer's eyes fell on her, a fragile girl in a wheelchair, and in a devastating moment of misplaced authority, he shoved her chair sharply. Emily crashed into the curb, her scream piercing the night as her beloved sketchbook tumbled from her hands and onto the wet street gutter. Nearby security cameras captured the entire heartbreaking incident. The footage quickly spread across social media, pulling at the heartstrings of countless viewers. But what turned this tragedy into an incredible story of hope was what happened next. Keanu Reeves, who had met Emily the previous year through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, was shooting a film in New Orleans when he stumbled upon the video online. Without hesitation, he arranged for a private jet to fly him straight to Texas, determined to see Emily for himself. Just 2 days later, Chuck Norris, who had also connected with Emily after receiving one of her heartfelt drawings titled My Guardian, turned up at her hospital bed. Both men shunned the media's spotlight. Their sole purpose was to stand by Emily's side, no headlines needed. When Keanu entered her hospital room, Emily's tears spilled freely, not just from pain, but from the profound realization that the heroes she once drew were now her protectors in real life. Behind him, Chuck's presence was fierce yet tender. "No one touches our girl," he whispered, a promise etched with fierce loyalty. In the weeks that followed, their presence was more than just comfort, it sparked change. Keanu and Chuck championed reforms in the local police department, attended protests against injustice silently but powerfully, and ensured Emily had round-the-clock protection. Yet, it wasn't only about guarding her body, it was about rekindling her spirit. One afternoon, with a voice fragile but fierce, Emily surprised them by asking Keanu to help publish a book. It wouldn't be a recount of her trauma, but a message of forgiveness and resilience. Chuck eagerly volunteered to write the foreword. From hospital beds enclosed with quiet hope to classrooms filled with eager young voices via video calls, Emily's story became a beacon, transcending pain to inspire empathy. When Emily spoke, draped in a simple lavender scarf, the lucky charm Keanu had tied around her wrist before her 3rd surgery, she didn't talk about suffering. Instead, she spoke about rising, about standing tall when life tries to pull you down, and about the unexpected power of kindness that 2 movie stars had shown her, not through fighting, but through unwavering loyalty. Then, a letter arrived. No return address, only the initials, CWD. It was from Deputy Carl Whitmore, the officer who had caused Emily's pain. In raw, handwritten words, he admitted his mistakes, sharing a grief that mirrored hers. He had lost a daughter to a car accident and saw some of himself in Emily's pain. Emily read it multiple times, then looked to Keanu and simply said, "He's broken too." That moment became the first chapter of a new story she started writing, The Quiet Side of Heroes. Between Emily and Keanu, an unspoken bond flourished, deeper than friendship, but not romantic. He became her anchor, a steady presence, while Chuck remained the steady heartbeat that never faltered. Together, the three formed an inseparable trio, bound by shared healing and quiet strength. Weekly calls with her best friend, Keanu, brought laughter and art, Chuck took Emily on drives in his vintage truck, blasting Johnny Cash, a soundtrack to their therapy sessions of tears and joy. Winter folded over Austin like a soft blanket, and even snow felt like a blessing. One snowy morning, Keanu arrived with a paper bag steaming with Texas's finest cinnamon rolls. "Hope you're hungry," he smiled. Emily's eyes sparkled. "Only if you eat one too." Cross-legged on her hospital bed, the dusted sugar felt like snowflakes on a warm day. Later, Chuck arrived wielding a duffel bag filled with board games and a VHS of Walker, Texas Ranger. "Time for Chuck time," he declared, igniting the room with laughter and love. These became their sacred rituals: Sunday cinnamon rolls, movie nights, sketch critiques, and deep conversations about strength, fear, and courage. Emily often asked the big questions: why do people hurt each other? What does it mean to be strong? Is it okay to feel scared when others see you as brave? Keanu answered thoughtfully, "Fear just means you know something matters." Chuck, ever the protector, quietly added, "Sometimes courage is just a whisper that says, try again tomorrow." On Christmas Eve, a magical moment transformed their world. Without telling anyone, Emily had been practicing walking with braces and support. At a private gathering in the softly lit hospital room, she told them to close their eyes. The faint sound of her wheelchair locking was followed by silent trembling. When their eyes opened, Emily was standing, unsteady but defiant. Keanu was speechless, Chuck's hand locked over his heart. "I wanted to walk to you," Emily whispered, "because you've walked into my life when I thought I was alone." Keanu steadied her with gentle hands. "You've already carried us," he said softly. "This is just grace." In that single step, Emily became a living symbol of hope. Her book went on to become published with Chuck's heartfelt foreword, filled with stories he had never shared before, the childhood fears, the hidden pain behind his strength. Keanu lent his voice for an audiobook, wrapping each word in reverence and love. Their story grew beyond the tragic moment to become a living, breathing mission. Emily conceived Project Grace, a center for children like her, those told they'd never walk, never matter. A place for healing through art and kindness. Chuck tapped into his vast network of builders, therapists, veterans, and trainers. Keanu called in favors from anonymous donors, architects, and artists. Every brick laid reflected Emily's vision. She even designed the logo herself, a hand-drawn heart inside open palms. Letters poured in from children across the nation. One wrote, "I was bullied every day until I saw you walk, Emily." Another said, "You made me believe I can draw again." When Project Grace opened quietly at sunrise, dozens of children arrived, walking, rolling, or being carried, surrounded by laughter and the mural Emily painted herself, portraying her younger self beside two tall shadows, not as actors, but as guardians. Then, from the past came a gentle visit. Cole Whitmore's mother arrived at the gates with a letter from her son. Diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's, Cole's final message spoke of regrets and gratitude. "You taught me more in one moment than my years in uniform ever could," he wrote. "I only wish I'd lived with the grace you showed me. You are my last redemption." Tears streamed down Emily's face as she read his words. Turning to Keanu and Chuck, she quietly said, "Let's build a room in his name, for second chances." They nodded silently, ready to expand their vision. Despite Project Grace thriving and Emily's walking steadily improving, a deeper question lingered, one she had not dared ask before. One evening, as she sat by a window with her sketchbook under the stars, she turned to Keanu and asked softly, "Do you believe in soulmates, even if they don't look like love?" The question hung in the air, waiting. Keanu pulled up a chair and replied gently, "Those who truly care never try to hold you down. They stand beside you and watch you grow." Emily met his gaze. "I'm not the same girl you met in the hospital." "You're more," Keanu said with a smile. She whispered, "Sometimes I wonder if I would have made it at all without you." Keanu shook his head softly. You would have. We were just lucky to walk with you. From the distance, children's laughter echoed. A boy named Jonah, who lost both legs, chased a balloon on his prosthetic blades, while Chuck pretended to struggle to keep up. Emily smiled, her heart full. Later, after Keanu left, he lingered at the Project Grace entrance, staring at the warm glow of the center. He fingered a folded note Emily had slipped into his coat earlier that evening. It read, "You told me being scared means something matters. I'm scared now, because you matter more than I ever said." He closed his eyes, heart full yet uncertain, unsure whether this was a beginning, evolution, or the purest kind of friendship, one that holds through storms and stays when skies clear. But one thing was clear, Emily had changed him. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispered. Spring drifted gently across Texas, blossoms floating like confetti around Project Grace. Inside, laughter filled every room, hearts brightened, and something delicate began to bloom inside Emily's heart. After so many silent nights wondering if she was too fragile for love, she found herself believing again, not in fairy tales, but in real, growing love. One stormy night, as the power flickered and the children settled from dinner, Chuck entered with a flashlight under his chin, spinning tales of a tiny warrior with stars in her bones who chose kindness over anger, art over pain, and love over fear. Emily sketched the story by candlelight, weaving magic with each stroke. After the storm passed, Keanu watched Emily in the quiet room. "I never told you what it meant to me, the night you stood," he said softly. "I'd spent years carrying pain I didn't know how to let go of." She looked up, eyes shining. "And when you showed up that night, I stopped feeling invisible." He took a step closer. "You're the most visible person I've ever known." Silence settled, full and warm, before Emily whispered, "Can I draw something just for you?" She pulled a page from her sketchbook, a drawing of two souls, not as they were, but as she saw them. Keanu holding her sketchbook like a treasure, her leaning on his shoulder, smiling audaciously. Below, a simple phrase, "Some souls find each other, not because they were lost, but because they were already whole." Keanu reached for her hand, holding it firmly and quietly. Outside, stars blinked knowingly, as if waiting to see where their journey would go next. Because though Emily's story continues, full of heart, healing, and a love that only grows stronger, one truth remains: this is just the beginning. If this story touched your soul, please subscribe for more heartfelt tales of real heroes and hope. Leave a like, comment your thoughts, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Because there are many more incredible journeys ahead, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single one.